Commander Jason Carter stood on the bridge of the EFS Dauntless, his eyes fixed on the main display. The Zorlaxian mining vessel was clearly visible against the backdrop of Proxima Colony's third moon. His jaw tightened as he watched the alien ship extracting precious minerals from what was undeniably human territory. "How long has this been going on?" he asked, his voice steady despite his rising anger. Lieutenant Peter Gold at the sensor station looked up. "Based on radiation patterns, I'd say at least 6 months at this location alone, sir." 6 months. The Zorlaxians had been stealing from a human colony for half a year, and somehow no one had noticed, or perhaps no one had cared to report it. Jason ran a hand through his short brown hair and made a decision. "Open a communication channel," he ordered. Elizabeth Winters, the ship's diplomatic officer, moved to the communication station. With her skilled hands, she established a link to the Zorlaxian vessel. "This is Diplomatic Officer Elizabeth Winters of the Earth Defense Fleet ship Dauntless. You are conducting unauthorized mining operations in human territory. Please cease all activities and prepare for boarding and inspection, as per Galactic Council Treaty 455. The screen remained blank for several long moments. Then a harsh, clicking sound came through the speakers, followed by the translated voice of the Zorlaxian captain. "Human vessel, this operation is sanctioned. Depart immediately." Elizabeth frowned. Sanctioned? By whom? No permission was granted by Earth government or Proxima Colony authorities. The alien's response was cold. "Higher authority than yours, human." Jason stepped forward. "This is Commander Carter. Identify this higher authority immediately or power down your extraction equipment." The communication cut off abruptly. On the main display, the crew of the Dauntless watched as the Zorlaxian ship's weapon systems came online. "They're charging weapons," shouted Gregory West from Tactical. "Shields up," Jason ordered calmly. "But hold fire." The first blast from the Zorlaxian ship struck the Dauntless before its shields were fully deployed. The bridge shook violently. A console exploded in a shower of sparks, injuring an ensign. "Hull breach on Deck 4, reported Susan Lane, Damage Control Officer. Emergency containment activated." Jason gripped the command rail as the ship rocked again. "Return fire. Target their weapon systems only." The Dauntless responded, sending precise energy pulses toward the Zorlaxian vessel. The alien ship maneuvered with surprising agility, avoiding most of the shots. "Sir," called out Ryan Myers from the science station, "I've accessed their cargo hold signature. They're carrying 15 tons of stellarite. That's a controlled substance under Council law." Stellarite was rare and valuable, but its extraction was strictly regulated due to its destructive environmental impact. No wonder they had attacked rather than submit to inspection. The Zorlaxian ship fired again, this time hitting the Dauntless's engine section. The lights on the bridge flickered. "Critical damage to our propulsion system," Susan reported. "We can't pursue if they run." Elizabeth tried once more. "Zorlaxian vessel, power down your weapons. We can resolve this diplomatically." The only response was another barrage, this one more devastating than the last. 3 crew members were thrown from their stations. Jason made the hardest decision of his 15-year career. Target their engine core. Full power. Gregory hesitated for just a second before complying. The Dauntless fired its main cannon. The energy beam cut through the Zorlaxian ship's weakened shields and struck its power core directly. The alien vessel erupted in a blinding explosion. As the light faded, the bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what had just happened. For the first time in 2,500 years, humans had destroyed an alien ship. "Send a priority message to Earth Command," Jason said quietly, "and download all sensor data. We need to prove this was self-defense." Elizabeth looked at the debris field on the screen. "The Council will see this as an act of war, regardless of our justification." Jason nodded. Maybe it's time they took us seriously. In the silence that followed, the crew of the Dauntless faced the weight of history shifting around them. Humanity had just broken 2,500 years of peace, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Samantha Rivero walked into the great chamber of the Galactic Council with her head held high. The massive circular room buzzed with angry voices from 100 different species. All fell silent as the human delegation entered. At her side, Earth Ambassador Daniel Phillips straightened his formal blue uniform. His face showed no emotion, though Samantha knew he was just as nervous as she was. "They want blood," he whispered to her, figuratively and perhaps literally. The council president, a tall being with 6 limbs and silver skin, called the emergency session to order. His translator converted his whistling speech to standard galactic language. "This council has gathered today to address the unprovoked attack by Earth forces on a Zorlaxian research vessel. This act has broken 2,500 years of peace." Ambassador Phillips stepped forward to the speaker's platform. "Respected members of the council, what Commander Carter encountered was not a research vessel, but a mining ship stealing resources from human territory. When asked to stop, they fired first." A roar of disagreement filled the chamber. The Zorlaxian representative, High Counselor Vrexthor, rose from his seat. His scaled body reflected the chamber's lights as he pointed a clawed finger at Phillips. "Lies. The humans attacked without warning. They have always been violent creatures. We have been patient with them for 5 centuries. But now their true nature shows." Samantha watched as many council members nodded in agreement. The bias against humans was clear. Ryan Mason, Earth's intelligence officer, approached Samantha and handed her a small data device. "The Dauntless sent this before communications were cut. It's all the proof we need." Samantha took the device to Ambassador Phillips and whispered the contents. He nodded and addressed the council again. "We have sensor data showing the Zorlaxian ship fired first. We also have evidence they were carrying 15 tons of stellarite, a controlled substance." The council president waved his hand dismissively. "Anyone can fake such data." Phillips stood his ground. "Then why has Proxima Colony reported similar mining operations over the past 3 years? Why have their complaints been ignored by this council?" A low murmur spread through the chamber. Some representatives looked uncomfortable. High Counselor Vrexthor hissed loudly. "This is irrelevant. The humans have broken the peace. We demand the surrender of Commander Carter and his crew for trial. We also demand the human fleet be reduced by half as punishment." Samantha could no longer stay silent. She stepped to the platform beside Phillips. "Admiral Rivera," the council president said coldly, "you are not recognized to speak." "Yet I will speak," she replied. "For too long, humanity has trusted this council to uphold justice for all species. Now we see the truth. You ignore crimes against us while demanding we submit to unfair punishment." The great chamber erupted in angry shouts. The Andromedan representative, a being made of shifting blue light, raised its appendage for attention. "Perhaps we should examine the evidence before making demands," it suggested. Vrexthor slammed his fist on his console. "There is nothing to examine. Either the humans surrender Carter, or this is an act of war." Ambassador Phillips looked to Samantha. She gave him a slight nod. They had both received the same message from Earth during the session. "President Nguyen has instructed me to inform this council that Earth will not surrender Commander Carter or reduce our fleet," Phillips announced. "Furthermore, until a full investigation occurs, Earth is suspending participation in Treaties 455, 721, and 893. Gasps echoed around the chamber. Those treaties gave the Council rights to patrol human space, regulate human trade, and limit human defense systems. The Council President's voice turned cold. "You realize what this means?" Phillips nodded. "Earth understands perfectly. We simply refuse to be victims any longer." As they left the chamber, Samantha felt the weight of history on her shoulders. The political fallout had only just begun, but for the first time in centuries, humanity was standing up for itself. "What now?" Phillips asked quietly. "Now, Samantha replied. "We prepare for whatever comes next." Dr. Aidan Foster wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the sample under the microscope. The blue crystal glowed faintly in the lab's dim light. After 3 days without sleep, he had finally figured out why the Zorlaxians wanted this particular mineral so badly. "Lisa, come look at this," he called to his research partner. Lisa Blackwood set down her data pad and joined him at the lab station. Her eyes widened as she looked through the microscope. "The crystal structure is changing," she said. "It's responding to the Zorlaxian tech we salvage." Aidan nodded. "Exactly. This element only exists on human-settled worlds, and it's essential for their new dry systems." A soft beep from Lisa's communication device interrupted them. She checked the message and her face turned serious. "I got into their research facility," she said. "Tonight." Aidan looked worried. "That's too dangerous. If they catch you." "We need proof," Lisa said firmly. "Without it, no one will believe how deep this goes." That night, Lisa moved silently through the shadows of the Zorlaxian Research Center on Europa Station. The facility was officially listed as a cultural exchange center, but her intelligence suggested otherwise. She slipped past 2 guards using a security pass stolen from a maintenance worker. The inner labs were eerily quiet. Lisa connected her data device to a terminal and began downloading files. The screen filled with technical diagrams, mining reports, and correspondence between Zorlaxian officials and other species. Names of council members appeared repeatedly in the documents. Lisa's hands trembled as she realized the scale of what they had discovered. Back on Earth, William Rice sat in his small office at the communications center. As Earth's best code breaker, he had been tasked with intercepting messages between council species. For days, nothing interesting had appeared. Then, at 300 hours, his system flagged a transmission. The message was heavily encrypted, but William recognized the pattern. It was the same encryption used by the Zorlaxian ship that the Dauntless had encountered. He worked through the night, breaking through layer after layer of security. By morning, he had it. The decrypted message contained coordinates, schedules, and lists of resources to be extracted from 17 human colony worlds. Most disturbing was the list of council members who received payments for looking the other way. William immediately sent the information to Dr. Foster's lab. When Aidan received the transmission, he compared it with Lisa's findings. Everything matched. The Zorlaxians had been systematically stripping resources from human worlds for centuries, with full knowledge of key council members. "This goes back to when we first joined the council," Aidan said, in shock. "They only let us in to better control what we have." Lisa, who had returned safely from her mission, studied the data on the main screen. "Look at these signatures. The Vex Confederation, the High Lordy, even the Tarsi Union. They're all part of it." "We need to warn the outer colonies," Aidan said. "Several are on this target list for next month." As they prepared to send the information to Earth Command, the lab's security alarm blared. The main door burst open, and 3 armed figures rushed in. "Get down," Lisa shouted, pulling Aidan behind a heavy desk. Laser fire scorched the wall where they had been standing seconds before. One shot hit the main computer, sending sparks flying. Lisa drew a small pistol from her boot and returned fire. One attacker fell, but the others kept advancing. "The data," Aidan yelled. He grabbed their backup drive and tossed it to Lisa. She caught it and nodded. "East exit. On 3. They ran as more shots flew past them. They barely made it through the exit before the lab exploded behind them. "They tried to kill us," Aidan said, breathing hard as they hid in an alley 3 blocks away. "That proves we're right." Lisa clutched the drive. "And now we have proof to show everyone else." The conspiracy was real, and humanity now had evidence of the greatest betrayal in galactic history. General Christopher Morgan walked through the massive underground facility that had been dormant for over a century. Lights flickered on automatically as he moved deeper into the complex. Behind him followed 30 of Earth's top military officials and scientists. "Most people don't know this place exists," he told them. Built after first contact, just in case things went wrong. The group entered a vast chamber filled with sleek ships and weapon systems covered in protective sheets. Workers were already removing the coverings, revealing equipment that looked far more advanced than what Earth officially used. For 500 years, we maintained peace, the general continued. But we were never foolish enough to be defenseless. Maria Diaz, Earth's leading weapons engineer, stepped forward and pulled a sheet off a particularly impressive cannon. This is the Helios Protocol weapon system, she explained. It uses the unique properties of solar radiation to penetrate any known shield technology. We developed it 80 years ago, but never deployed it. One of the admirals looked surprised. The Council would have sanctioned us if they knew we had this. Maria nodded. Exactly why we kept it secret. We have 20 more like it, ready to be installed on our ships. In another part of the solar system, representatives from all 27 human colony worlds gathered on the Mars diplomatic station. The debate had been intense for 3 days. Now they prepared to vote. The evidence is clear, said Governor Frank Bennett of Proxima Colony. We have been exploited for centuries. I propose we form a united human defense coalition, pooling our resources and military assets. The vote was unanimous. For the first time in history, all human worlds stood together as a single defensive entity. Back on Earth, military strategist Nathan Brooks met with fleet commanders in a secure briefing room. Star maps covered the walls, highlighting alien military positions. We are outnumbered 10-1, Nathan explained. But we have advantages they don't expect. First, they believe we've been at peace so long that we've forgotten how to fight. Second, they don't know about our hidden defense systems. He pointed to several key locations on the map. We won't try to match them ship for ship. Instead, we'll use hit-and-run tactics, striking their supply lines and communication hubs. Captain Kelly Robinson listened carefully to the strategy. Her ship, the HFY Valiant, would lead one of the first missions. As the briefing ended, she received urgent orders to prepare for immediate departure. What's the mission? Her first officer asked as they hurried to the docking bay. Extraction, Kelly replied. We have 300 human scientists on the Centauri research station. The Zorlaxians have just seized control of it. We need to get our people out before they become hostages. While military preparations continued, Ambassador Phillips kept diplomatic channels open. He knew war could still be avoided if the Council acknowledged the truth. We're not asking for punishment, he told the Andromedan representative during a private meeting. We simply want the exploitation to stop and for those responsible to be held accountable. The Andromedan's light form flickered thoughtfully. Many on the Council fear what humans might do if given full freedom in the galaxy. Your species evolves and adapts faster than any other we've encountered. That's not a reason to steal from us, Phillips argued. Meanwhile, engineer Maria Diaz worked with her team to activate a system that had been built in secret across all human worlds. Hidden beneath the surface of each colony was a powerful defensive shield generator. All colonies report ready, her assistant said. Shield network at 97% capacity. Maria took a deep breath. Activate on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Across human space, invisible shields spread over cities and settlements. At the same time, Earth's communications array broadcast a message to every species in the galaxy. The message contained all the evidence of the conspiracy, bypassing official council channels. The human voice that delivered the message was calm but resolute. For too long, we have been victims. No more. We seek peace, but we are prepared for conflict. The choice now belongs to those who have betrayed us. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see who would make the next move. The alarm sirens at Neptune Outpost blared in the middle of the night shift. Commander Paul Harris ran to the control center, still pulling on his uniform jacket. Report, he shouted over the noise. 6 Zorlaxian warships just appeared from jump space, responded the sensor operator. They're charging weapons. Paul hit the station-wide alert. All civilians to shelters. Defense teams to positions. The first blast hit before the station's shields were fully activated. The entire structure shook violently. Emergency lights flickered on as main power failed in several sections. "They're targeting our life support systems," the tactical officer said. "This isn't a warning. They're trying to kill everyone." Paul grabbed the communication system. "This is Neptune Outpost to all Earth forces. We are under heavy attack, requesting immediate assistance." But he knew help would take hours to arrive. The outpost would have to hold out on its own. Across the solar system, Commander Jason Carter received the distress call while his battle group was training near Mars. He immediately ordered his ships to set course for Neptune at maximum speed. "We won't reach them in time," his first officer said quietly. Jason's face hardened. "Then we'll make the Zorlaxians pay for what they've done." His battle group, now 5 ships strong, raced toward Neptune. During the journey, reports came in that the outpost had fallen. 3,000 human lives lost in the surprise attack. Instead of continuing to Neptune, Jason made a bold decision. New course. "We're heading for the Zorlaxian military installation at Rigel 6. His officers looked shocked. Rigel 6 was deep in Zorlaxian territory. "That's their primary forward base," his tactical officer said. "It's heavily defended." "Exactly," Jason replied. "They won't expect us to strike there. And they don't know about our new weapon systems." The HFY Dauntless and its 4 companion ships slipped into Rigel's system, using a stealth approach developed by Nathan Brooks. They were nearly at the military base before Zorlaxian sensors detected them. "Helios Protocol weapons online," reported the weapons officer. "Target locked." Jason gave the order. "Fire." The new weapon released a burst of energy that cut through the Zorlaxian shields as if they weren't there. The base's main defense tower exploded in a brilliant flash. More shots followed, precisely hitting key facilities while avoiding living quarters. Within 20 minutes, the entire military installation was disabled without a single Zorlaxian ship able to launch. News of the human victory spread quickly across the galaxy. The Council, which had condemned Neptune's destruction as regrettable but understandable, was shocked by the effective human counterattack. Maria Diaz watched with satisfaction as data from the battle confirmed the success of her weapons system. "The Helios Protocol worked perfectly," she told Admiral Rivera. "Their shields were useless against it." The Admiral nodded. "This changes everything. The Zorlaxians thought we would be easy targets. But the conflict was expanding. 3 Council races that had claimed neutrality suddenly announced their support for the Zorlaxians. Their fleets began moving toward human space. Then came an unexpected message from the Andromedan homeworld. Their ambassador requested an urgent private meeting with Earth leadership. President Nguyen met with the glowing blue being in a secure room. "You're taking a great risk by coming here," she said. The Andromedan's light form pulsed gently. "My species has watched this injustice for too long. We wish to offer an alliance with humanity." It was the first alien race to side with Earth in the growing conflict. Meanwhile, Admiral Rivera put her larger strategy into motion. "Begin Operation Scattered Thunder," she ordered. Across the galaxy, human ships that had been quietly positioned near enemy targets began simultaneous strikes. Zorlaxian supply depots, communication arrays, and fuel stations all came under attack at the exact same moment. The galactic media, largely controlled by Council interests, portrayed humans as dangerous aggressors who had shattered the peace. But among ordinary citizens of many worlds, a different question was being asked. Why had the mighty Zorlaxian Empire felt so threatened by humans that they attacked first? The war had truly begun, and there would be no easy path back to peace. 6 months into the conflict, both sides were exhausted. Human colonies had suffered attacks, but their hidden shield systems had prevented total destruction. Zorlaxian forces had lost many ships and bases to the surprising effectiveness of human weapons. Ambassador Daniel Phillips sat across from 3 council members in a small, neutral space station. These were not the major powers, but smaller species who were growing concerned about the war. "We've reviewed the evidence you provided," said the Tellurian representative, a short being with 4 arms. "If it is true, the Council has failed in its most basic duty." "Every bit of it is true," Daniel replied. "We only want justice and to be left in peace." The representatives exchanged looks. "We will speak to others," the Tellurian promised. "There are more who doubt the official story now." This was the diplomatic breakthrough Daniel had been working toward for months. Small progress, but progress nonetheless. Meanwhile, Intelligence Officer Ryan Mason and Lisa Blackwood had infiltrated the Council's central data hub. They moved carefully through the dimly lit maintenance tunnels, avoiding security patrols. "The President's private files should be in this section," Ryan whispered, pointing to a heavily secured door. Lisa attached a small device to the security panel. 3 minutes to bypass it. Once inside, they downloaded thousands of files. What they found was even worse than they had imagined. Council President Sylvan had personally orchestrated the exploitation of human worlds, receiving massive payments from the Zorlaxians and other species. "We need to get this out," Ryan said, copying the files to a secure device. As they prepared to leave, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. "We've been detected," Lisa said. "Plan B." They split up, each taking a copy of the evidence. Ryan was captured, but Lisa managed to escape with the files. In Zorlaxian space, a surprising development occurred. Subcommander Zexkrol, commanding a battle cruiser, sent an encrypted message to human forces. "Not all Zorlaxians support this war," the message read. "Many of us were deceived about human aggression. I wish to defect with my ship and crew." Commander Jason Carter was sent to meet the defectors at a remote location. He approached cautiously, weapons ready in case of a trap. But Zexkrol was genuine. The Zorlaxian ship lowered its shields and allowed Carter to board. "My people were told humans attacked first and planned to invade our worlds," Zexkrol explained, his scaled skin shifting colors with emotion. "When I discovered the truth, I could not continue fighting." The defector provided invaluable information, including the location of the main Zorlaxian fleet gathering for a major assault on Earth. Captain Kelly Robinson received special orders directly from Admiral Rivera. Her mission: to lead a small team to capture key enemy communication nodes. "This is high risk," she told her team as they prepared. "But if we succeed, we can cut off half their fleet from receiving orders." Her team of 6 boarded a small, fast ship disguised as a civilian transport. They slipped past enemy patrols and reached their target, a massive communication relay station. Using stealth technology and precise timing, they boarded the station and overpowered its small crew without raising alarms. Within an hour, they had control of a facility that managed communications for a third of Zorlaxian territory. On Earth, Dr. Aidan Foster had been working day and night in his lab. He believed there was a better way to end the conflict than more bloodshed. "I've developed something new," he explained to President Nguyen. "A non-lethal weapon that targets only specific Zorlaxian biology. It causes temporary paralysis, but no permanent harm." The president studied the technical data. "And this works only on Zorlaxians, not on humans or other species." "Exactly," Aidan confirmed. "We can disable their forces without killing them." This development, combined with the diplomatic progress and intelligence breakthroughs, created a turning point in the conflict. For the first time, there was hope for resolution. The Council itself was beginning to fracture as the evidence of corruption spread. Several species formally questioned the leadership and demanded investigations. After months of darkness, a light appeared at the end of the tunnel. But the most difficult battles, both military and political, still lay ahead. The council chamber was half empty. Where representatives of 23 species once sat, only 11 remained. The others had formally withdrawn their support for the conflict against humanity. High Counselor Vrexthor raged at the deserters. Cowards. The humans must be contained before they spread through the galaxy. But his words no longer carried the weight they once did. The evidence Lisa Blackwood had released showed how the Zorlaxians had manipulated the Council for centuries. The Tellurian representative stood. "We have reviewed all data. We no longer recognize the authority of this corrupted council. We extend diplomatic recognition to the human government effective immediately." One by one, other species followed. By the end of the day, 5 more had abandoned the anti-human coalition. The alliance with the Andromedans proved to be the turning point in the war. Their advanced ships joined the human fleet, bringing significant resources to humanity's side. "Our scientists have much to share with yours," the Andromedan ambassador told Admiral Rivera. "We have watched humans for centuries. Your creativity and resilience impressed us." The combined human Andromedan forces began pushing back Zorlaxian ships from human space. Colonial worlds that had been under siege were finally relieved. President Olivia Nguyen addressed the galaxy through an emergency broadcast that bypassed council censors. Her image appeared on communication devices across thousands of worlds. "People of the galaxy, I speak to you today not as an enemy, but as someone seeking justice and peace. For too long, a corrupt few have profited by exploiting many. Today, I offer terms that will end this conflict." She outlined simple but firm conditions: recognition of human sovereignty, end to all resource theft, reparations for damages, and a new galactic governing system with true equality for all species. The speech reached ordinary citizens on countless worlds, many of whom had been told humans were violent monsters. Seeing a calm, reasonable leader offering peace changed many minds. Meanwhile, Commander Jason Carter led the human Andromedan fleet to Proxima Centauri, where the deciding battle of the war would take place. The Zorlaxian main fleet had gathered there, preparing for a final push toward Earth. "They outnumber us 2-1, his first officer reported. Jason nodded. "But they don't have the Helios Protocol or Dr. Foster's new weapon. And they don't have our allies." The battle began at dawn, Earth time. The Zorlaxian ships advanced in perfect formation, their weapons charging. "Hold position," Jason ordered. "Let them come to us." When the enemy fleet was within range, he gave the command: "Activate the Foster device." A pulse of energy spread out from the human ships. It passed harmlessly through human vessels, but hit the Zorlaxian fleet with precision. On the enemy ships, crews suddenly found themselves unable to move. Their bodies were temporarily paralyzed. "Now target their engines and weapons only," Jason ordered. "Disable, don't destroy." The battle was over in less than an hour. Most of the Zorlaxian fleet was captured intact, with minimal loss of life on either side. But while the main fleet was engaged at Proxima, Council President Zilvan made a desperate move. He ordered the remaining loyal ships to attack Earth directly. "If we cannot win, we will make them suffer," he told his commanders. Admiral Rivera had anticipated this. Earth's orbital defenses were fully prepared when the enemy arrived. "They're targeting civilian areas," reported the defense coordinator. Rivera's face was grim. "Not this time." Earth's hidden defense grid activated. Millions of tiny satellites emerged from concealment, creating an impenetrable shield around the planet. The enemy weapons fire bounced harmlessly off the barrier. Then Earth's defense platforms returned fire, precisely disabling the attacking ships one by one. Across the galaxy, news spread quickly. The corrupt council leadership had tried to attack Earth's civilian population and had failed completely. The attempt turned even more species against them. On the Zorlaxian homeworld, angry citizens surrounded government buildings. They had learned the truth about their leader's deception and the pointless war they had started. By nightfall, the Zorlaxian emperor announced that those who had orchestrated the conspiracy would face justice. He requested immediate peace talks with Earth. The tide had turned. The old order was crumbling, and a new chapter in galactic history was about to begin. 1 year after the first shot was fired, representatives from 87 species gathered on neutral ground. The massive space station orbiting Jupiter had been built specifically for this historic meeting. Its great hall was filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. The old Galactic Council was gone. Its corruption had been too deep to reform. In its place, something new would rise. Eric Mitchell, a veteran diplomat from Earth, stood at the center of the gathering. Though not as senior as Ambassador Phillips, he had been chosen to lead the human delegation for his skill in building consensus. "We gather today not as winners or losers," Eric began, his voice calm and measured, "but as equals seeking a better path forward." The Zorlaxian representative, not Vrexthor, but a younger leader named Kexity, nodded in agreement. The old guard had been removed from power after the failed attack on Earth. For too long, some species benefited while others suffered, Eric continued. "Today we propose a new covenant, the Interstellar Confederation. A body where all voices carry equal weight, where transparency is required, and where exploitation is forbidden." For 3 days, the representatives debated the details. The Andromedans suggested a rotating leadership council. The Tellurians proposed independent auditors to prevent corruption. Humans offered their technology for a galactic communication network that no single species could control. On the final day, the charter was ready. One by one, representatives approached to add their signatures or genetic markers. When the ceremony was complete, thunderous applause filled the hall. A new era had begun. Back on Earth, Commander Jason Carter stood before a mixed crowd of humans and aliens. Some cheered him as a hero, others regarded him with uncertainty. "I never intended to start a war," he told them honestly. "I was simply doing my duty to protect my people. But sometimes, conflict is necessary to achieve lasting peace." The crew of the Dauntless had received both praise and criticism for their role in the events. Some called them warmongers, others saviors. The truth, as always, was somewhere in between. Dr. Aidan Foster and Lisa Blackwood had turned their attention to healing the wounds of war. With the resources they had fought for now rightfully shared, they established the Multi-Species Scientific Initiative. "Science should benefit everyone," Aidan explained at the opening of their new research center. "No more secrets, no more hoarding knowledge." Scientists from 20 different species had already joined the project. Their first task, developing technology to restore environments damaged during the conflict. The Zorlaxian Empire had begun a painful process of reform. Their new government publicly acknowledged the wrongs committed against humanity and other species. Reparation payments would continue for decades, helping to rebuild destroyed outposts and colonies. Several former enemies took tentative steps toward reconciliation. Human children exchanged messages with Zorlaxian younglings. Trade slowly resumed between worlds that had recently been in conflict. President Nguyen met with the Zorlaxian Emperor in the first official state visit between their peoples. "We have much to learn from each other," she said during the public ceremony. "Our differences need not make us enemies." Not everyone embraced the new order. Some humans still distrusted all aliens after centuries of exploitation. Some alien species still feared humanity's rapid advancement and adaptability. Old prejudices would take generations to fully heal. But for the first time in galactic history, there was a genuine attempt at creating a just system. Commander Carter often visited Neptune Outpost Memorial, where the names of those lost in the first attack were engraved in black stone. On one such visit, he found a Zorlaxian standing silently before the monument. It was Sub-Commander Zexcroll, the defector whose information had helped end the war. "I come to remember," the Zorlaxian said simply. "So it never happens again." Carter nodded, and the two former enemies stood side by side, looking toward a future neither could have imagined when the conflict began. The galaxy had been transformed, and humanity now stood as an equal among the stars, respected, sometimes feared, but never again to be exploited. The peace they had found was fragile, but it was real, and it had been worth fighting for.